All right. We are live, and I want to welcome everybody to the first episode of Churchy Chats. If you don't know me, my name is Alicia Wiley. I am the owner of a church girl. I started it back in 2014, and it's kind of become a lifestyle brand, and it has branched out into many different things. And I'm excited about tonight. I'm so excited to have First Lady Jessica Eliis Bulgin with me tonight. I was trying to remember when we met. We have a history because of our fathers. It's safe to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been said that our fathers look alike. So
Right,
we would
right.
always
Do
joke.
say
Yes, they do. They really do. We would always jokingly say, we are cousins because of that. And I'm trying to think. Do you remember when we met, Jessica?
I really don't. I don't. It just seems like we've always known each other. To be honest,
It really does. It really does. I
I think
can't
our
think.
dads knew each other long before we met. But
And I'm trying to think. I think um, your dad came to preach at our church, and I want to say you were with him, and you were pregnant with Beanie.
oh, that might have been it.
This was, I don't even
That
know.
was 16 years ago.
Yeah. So that was a long time ago. So I'm excited for you to be on my first episode of Churchy Chats. And I hope you'll come back because I know, listen, y'all, Jessica is like her father in that she keeps it real.
Thank
Okay.
you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have a couple of topics that I want us to chat about tonight. So I don't know if many of you have seen this. I'm going to show y'all the video before we get into it. But there's a young lady named Shalea, and she has a video online of her singing Just Another Day, which of course is a Christian song. And she has on like really short shorts, like super short shorts. And let's watch the video. I'm gonna share my screen with y'all and show y'all the video, and then we'll get into it because I don't want to start sharing my thoughts before we get to the meat of the matter. So let me share my screen, and we're gonna watch just a short clip of the video. Let's see. Here we go. So here it is. Sorry, no, we can't have trouble. Let me see. I don't know where it's going to take us. Well, I don't know if y'all were able, let me see if it'll load for me. Well, I don't know why the devil is so busy right now, but the shorts were short, okay? They were very short. And let me say this, she is the actress from the Clark sisters, First Ladies of Gospel. She played Dorinda in the movie. She is a beautiful young lady, and she's a beautiful young lady and has a beautiful voice.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't know how I felt about the super short shorts and the gospel music. I mean, I don't know. What do you? I mean, I know some people say that we're old fashioned, or not weird, but just people who kind of think like me, like we should wear a certain thing if we are representing God.
Mm-hmm.
But some people believe that that's an old thought, and that it doesn't matter what you wear, and it really doesn't matter as long as you are reaching people for God. But
I don't know. What was she singing again?
Just another day the Lord has kept me.
Hey. Well, I mean, that's her testimony. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about the whole dress code situation, Alicia. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I get the whole come as you are, wear what you want to wear. God doesn't care. It's not about the clothes. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also get there should be a standard. There should be especially when we talk about, she wasn't in a church, I don't think, in that video, but especially when we start talking about coming to the house of God a certain way and presenting ourselves a certain way. So I don't know. I don't think I'm all the way black or all the way white on dress code. just to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree. One guy posted, let me see, I took a screenshot of a comment and he was like, I'm sorry, is this gospel music? I was focused on the thighs. And not that that was everybody's response. And I know we're in this quarantine time, and I think I can sometimes be considered old fashioned because I'm kind of like you, where I agree that it's a gray area on, dress code and stuff. But I was raised I mean, my daddy was Kojic, and you know how that is. So he's a lot better now. And I don't want to say he was super horrible with dress code, but just saying certain things were meant
for us. Our dads have come a long way.
Right. So, they've come miles and miles and miles, God knows. But I think it's somehow passed on to me that I'm like, if we're talking about God, and I love a good Daisy Duke, at a jazz festival or something like that, I'm all for it. I don't think we should be restricted like that by what we wear. I just don't think we should be a distraction by what we wear. And I don't know if many people.
I do agree that we could we should consider if we're being a distraction. Because if somebody commented, hey, I was focused on your thighs. I mean, at the end of the day, what we call the world, the non-Christians, the non-saved, they are looking at us and they want to know what's different. Why should I be? I believe a lot of them are like, why should I be a Christian if you're doing, looking, saying all the same, the same as us? Right. So again, it's some gray area. She wasn't in church. That would be me playing devil's advocate.
Right.
But some things honestly, Alicia, some things I just don't even comment on. Some things I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna just let her do what she do.
And and usually I wouldn't, had it not been for this and for the sake of conversation, I probably would not have said anything. And I think sometimes women, we get the short end of the stick as it relates to what we wear and how we present ourselves as women. And you understand, as women preachers and all of that. But I think the men tend not to get,
True.
Quite the issues.
They don't get as much flack.
Right. So they can have on a super skinny suit, or maybe gray jogging pants singing on live, and it may not be so critical as what a woman will get. But I mean, it's kind of what we deal with all around the board, but especially in ministry is no different as far as dress code is concerned. But
everybody have their own convictions too. Like, that's why I said it's a great area, because you got so many dynamics that go into it. Like, I asked questions like, okay, where was she? What was the context of the video? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's hard for me to just give a straightforward, no, she should not have been wearing them shorts, singing that song unto the Lord.
Right.
Because I'm like, well, I've sung songs unto the Lord when I didn't look so presentable. I didn't video it and post it, but you know what I'm
saying? Right. And now that's another thing too. We're living in a social media world. And like I said, it's quarantine. People are doing stuff kind of on the fly, so she may not have, I don't ever want to give somebody a premeditated, like she planned to put those shorts on and she planned to do this and to be a distraction. It was just the first thing that my eyes went to. And I was like, okay, Lord, I'm going to just not really.
I mean, same for me. I'd be like, whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first, naturally, that's the first response.
Right. What's happening here? But most of the comments, I looked through the comments, it was a million of them, and I looked through them, and really I only saw like one or two, and the one I saw about the guy with the thighs, and then another one was like, why y'all worried about what she has on? You should be worried about what she's singing. And I was like, we always get that, which I think is unfair to the church. I know that we can be considered critical in some cases, But I still think it's unfair when we bring up valid issues and we're automatically accused of being judgmental, because it's not always that. Why can't it just be a conversation? You know, instead of us just being, oh, they're so judgmental, oh, they're so fundamental. You know, it seems to be no gray area with people.
I do think that we should be given a little more grace. But of course, we're accused of not showing enough grace. And I think it's a matter of what you said. It's just a matter of, can we have a conversation? I think everybody is just ready to pounce on the church at any given moment. They're just ready. Like, they're just waiting for us to either say something or don't say nothing.
Right.
If we don't say nothing, we didn't speak up fast enough. If we do say something, then we just talking too much and we're judgmental. Honestly, we can't win for losing.
Yeah. And speaking of can't win for losing, Pastor Jamal Bryant, and please chime in, everybody. You're free to chime in. We want to hear your thoughts as well. Recently had a live where he was playing R&B music. Now, let me be the first to say, I love me a good 90s R&B mix. You know, that is when I grew up, and I love 90s R&B. And I have no issue with him playing the music. Most of the people on the live, completely good. And I have a good comment about his live, and I'll say that in a minute. But he said he was doing it to get people's attention, which I don't think I completely understand. But maybe you can help me with that. He just said, I was doing it to get people's attention. He said he had a good bit of people on his live, and he had a DJ and everything. I mean, he was rolling everything from Migos to Tupac to Bob Marley to, I mean, everything and everybody you can think of, he played. And I don't think it was anything, you know, offensive or derogatory, no music like that. But I'm just not sure I understand the why. Not that it's my place to understand the why, but I don't know.
I would want to understand the why too. And honestly, I'm the kind of person, I try not to, again, just like the woman with the shorts, I try not to jump to my own conclusions. I try not to jump to my own, at least verbalizing my own opinions until I have some context.
Yeah.
So typically, again, conversation. I love what you're doing because it evokes conversation. I would want to have a conversation. You know, he happens to be my big brother. I happen to have a relationship with him. And that would be something I'd be like, hey, so what exactly were you getting at? Because I want to know what people are thinking. I know that everybody's approach is different. I get it. I don't understand that either, Leisha. I'm not telling, I wouldn't say it's wrong. Right. But I would be like, so if you can give me some context, if you can give me a reason why you felt like that is how we need to reach unbelievers, I would want to know.
Yeah. And I think that was my thing. And like I said, I didn't have an issue with it because of the method he was using. It was alive, you know, he was just kind of hanging out. But when it got to the end of it, he was playing Dru Hill, Tell Me What You Want. And he did a great segue using that song, saying, you know, you need to know what you want. You need to know what direction that you're going in life. Because if we don't know these things, then we can't really help ourselves. And, you know, got it.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Then it was, then it's kind of segued into an altar call moment. Like, if you don't know God, if you don't know, okay. But it still had Tell Me What You Want playing in the background. And that's where I think I was like, maybe that could be a distraction a little bit, because our minds being stayed on Jesus, hearing, you know, that music. And I don't know, I can't answer that, but I think that's where I got a little confused.
I mean, specifically, I would say, I'm gonna give a specific response and a general response.
Okay.
Specifically, my response is, first of all, if you have ever, anybody has ever heard Pastor Jamal at any time, mm-hmm. you know, he treads on thin ice all the time. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just, he's a very risque, I would call, preacher, pastor, and sometimes I love it. Sometimes, because you know, I like that like edgy feel, and I'm like, how did he twist that and make that work?
Sure.
Now, but my general response would be that there is a time and place for everything. I don't see anything wrong with secular music. Now, in the context in which he used it, I don't understand that. Mm-hmm. I really don't. I can't say I disagree with it, because again, my question would be, was he in the church? Mm-hmm. See, my responses are gonna be a little different if you told me the girl with the Daisy Dukes and this music was playing in the sanctuary. Then I would be like, but I don't see how I don't know. I don't see how that would be an altar call song. I wouldn't be thinking about Jesus, but that's just me.
Yeah, and I quote, I want to be sure that I say and I quote on this, because the comment was, you know, a little, you know. So, and I quote, open quote.
Okay.
I'm ready to screw something at this point. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Emoji to the face, the crazy emoji, like the awe emoji, and the laughing emoji. Now, this was a guy that said that.
Ooh.
And he may be one out of 100,000 people that were on the live, but right. What happens when we put people in that? And okay, let me be fair, because whatever we do can put people, we're not responsible for how we make other people feel. Mm-hmm. We can set out to do something very clean, very noble, and people take away from it whatever they want to take from it. And we know how that is. It happens constantly. However, when somebody says that on your live, how does that make you feel? I don't know.
Yikes. I don't even know what to say to that, because I mean, when you get that type of response, it's like, personally, I would be like, okay, did my method serve its purpose? Uh-huh. Did I reach who I wanted to reach, or am I just gonna ignore this person? Mm-hmm. Well, and then just like, well, maybe he just have issues. You know what I'm saying? How do you measure the success? I would want to know this again, because I ask questions. I would want to know, how would you measure the success of people brought to Christ?
Sure.
How do you measure that?
And if one person is brought to Christ through whatever method you're using, then I'm here for it.
But what if one person is not?
Now, that's a good question. If one person is lost, or if one person is confused, I think as the church, I agree with being cutting edge, and I agree with, sometimes walking the line. However, what happens when we, like you said, with the girl with the shorts, sometimes we can be confusing to the world because we're offering the same thing the world is offering.
Right.
So they're like, well, why be a Christian if I can turn on DJ Brian or DJ Nice? Why be a Christian if I am literally getting the same thing? And when you go, my dad always uses this analogy. He says, when you go to the doctor, both of our dads are churchmen. Mm-hmm. They are going to wear their suits. They're going to wear their garments. They're going to do the whole nine. It's no such thing as a dress down Sunday for them. They're just not here for it.
Right.
So, which I'm not saying I agree or disagree with, but he says when you go to the doctor, you don't expect the doctor to be in a t-shirt and jeans, and you wouldn't feel comfortable if he was. You're going to be like, where is my real doctor? Where is the white coat? with the light and the pen in the pocket. Where is my doctor? You don't want the doctor looking just like you look. You go there for something different. And the set with the R&B music, cool. I'm just not sure. I don't understand it. That's the only thing. I don't fully understand it. And
my thing would be, what is your goal? How do you reach your goal? Did you reach your goal?
Right.
And if you did, then kudos to you, but I would definitely, I don't understand it either. There's certain things I understand and there's certain things I don't. Right. That's one thing I really don't, just to be completely honest. And I would just want to have a conversation. I just want to know, like, what was your purpose in doing that? And did you accomplish what you set out to accomplish?
Right. And we have some comments that I want to read. Liddell said, I'm really enjoying this conversation, this talk right here. Thank you. You ladies are touching on some areas that we were just talking about in prayer. Thank you for joining us tonight. Karen said, my pastor says it depends on who you are singing to. And I mean, I think we kind of touched on that. I don't know how many non-believers, you could probably ask him, or, you're closer to that situation than I am, that actually tuned in, like that are actually unchurched, not people who are in between churches, not people who, I left church because I don't love people who are truly unchurched, that were reached by that. I would be curious to see, because if you are getting those people's attention, kudos, respect. Whoever, if you're reaching people for God, I don't really have an issue with it. I just think our minds can sometimes not be able to focus on God and other simultaneously, and especially when it comes to the moment of making a decision for Christ. Nothing is more important than you making a decision for Christ. And I want your mind to be on him, but I can't say that people's mind wasn't on him.
There was one time I was, I hosted a youth lock-in.
Ago. Those things wear you out. Can I just say that?
It does wear you out. Girl. You got to have enough volunteers that are willing to stay up all night with you.
Yes.
And so that night we had like almost 100 young people.
Okay.
We had activity. I mean, I planned it out because I like to do schedules and be in order. Otherwise,
very organized. Absolutely.
But I mean, we had the room over here is for the glow in the dark party. And then we had over here some activities, and I had secular music in the glow in the dark party. I had, clean versions of everything. I wanted the young people to teach the older people and the young adults how to do the dances that were common. And so, but I didn't carry that on all night. There was a time and a place for that throughout the night. And I did that in the beginning to get their attention. I did that in the beginning to honestly be like, okay, I ain't too far removed, Jessica's still kind of cool, whatever. And I'm kind of in tune with what's happening in your world. But now the deal is, after we do that, we turn that off and you got to listen to the Bible study.
Right.
And then we transition into worship music and listen. So again, I mean, that's just an example I thought of where I did use that as a tool myself. But again, there was a moment where we had to kind of pull back from that, because I do think that there needs to be balance in all of our lives.
Absolutely. And what would you say were the kids' response to, coming into a church lock-in and seeing that somebody was willing to reach to them, something on their level? How did the kids respond to that?
I think it broke down walls. It allowed them to be vulnerable, because I know with young people of any generation, when we were young, we were the same way. We don't like to be beat over the head with the Bible and churchy stuff. I mean, we just don't. And so I think that it allowed them to let their guards down. We had very real, open, authentic conversations that night. And then we started talking about Jesus, the Bible, and how we could apply the Bible to our lives. But they remembered I came in and Jessica allowed me to be myself. She asked me about what was going on in my world first.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I don't know.
And I found that that's a great way to connect with youth. Being the youth pastor, I found that that's a great way to connect with them. I think what I've always tried to do in those situations is to teach them about how important it is to guard what you watch, how important it is to guard what you hear, because most people don't understand. And there's a level of spiritual maturity that is required for you to be able to do stuff. Now, some of us I'm spiritually mature enough to watch this and do this as an excuse to do things we probably shouldn't be doing. But I teach my young people, listen, I'm not going to be over your shoulder. Your parents are not going to be over your shoulder. What we need you to do is to know your limits. When my nephew turned about 15, I was like, listen, I'm not going to be on you anymore about certain things because Granny and Papa have raised you well. You are at the point now where we have to start trusting you to make certain decisions for yourself. However, if the seeds aren't planted, if they're not strong enough in the faith and they don't have the certain tools that they need, do we risk putting them off track? You see what I'm saying?
For adults too. I mean, right. You know, that applies to all of us. We all have to be careful.
Right. And that's
into our, spirit, man.
And that's what I was kind of thinking about with Pastor Bryant. Like, are we sending mixed messages? We would have to ask the people. I don't even know if this would be a question for him as much as it would be for the people. And I would love to have a conversation with him about it. Like I said, because I love me some good R&B music. I just never want people who are either unsaved or on the line to misunderstand our methods or our approach to reach them.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And I've even had young people tell me, like, we don't need y'all to be like us. We don't need the smoke machines. I think a lot of that's going into another conversation. But you got some churches that are trying to appeal to the millennials and the Generation Z. And so they feel like, okay, well, if we do more like contemporary music all the time and then make the gospel music sound like secular music and use smoke machines. And then, I mean, I happen to have 2 teenagers and my daughters were like, that's whack.
Really?
Why do that? Why? My daughter, the 16-year-old, she will hear a hymn that has been revamped to a hip hop type. And she's like, why would you do that?
See, me and Beanie are here.
Why would you do that? She like, it's a hymn. Hymns are supposed to be hymns. They are supposed to sound a certain way. There's a certain sound that comes with it. And when you don't taint it, because when you keep it the way it was supposed to be, oh, this is good. That is the foundation. First of all, that's the foundation of who we are.
Yeah.
Why would you taint that? And then now I can't even appreciate it. And honestly, that segues back into what you're talking about, even as Christians.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be a certain way. There is supposed to be a certain look. I'm not talking about clothes necessarily. Clothes is a byproduct of how we are supposed. But you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
You should be able to tell the difference and keep it separate.
And I heard this quote. I know I'm going to misquote it, but it said something about how, like, regular gospel songs tell us about the goodness of God or allows us to praise God, while hymns tell us who God is. And I was like, well, come on. Now, I am a lover of hymns, but it's because of who I descend from.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And we still sing a hymn every Sunday in the Lord's church. Do you understand? And I never really talked to my kids. Now, my goddaughter, she sings actually on the praise team, and she would probably kill me for saying this publicly, but she was like, I hate hymns. And girl, I was hurt. My heart was broken. I was like, what you mean?
That's just because she doesn't understand them.
Right. And I didn't take that. I didn't take a poll or anything, but you can help me with, are the young people in your church or people who are new to church, or we can include young people and new Christians, how do they respond to traditional methods like hymns and, the whole seeing the people in garb, and how is that received, would you say, by new Christians or even by people who are on the line and saying, I might want to do this, but what is all of this?
I think it's received. And the reason I say that is because typically people know what they're getting into when they join a church.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, very rarely do you visit once and be like, oh, this is it.
Right.
I mean, joining a church is a very major decision, whether you are changing churches or new to the whole church game, period.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that by the time that this, in generally speaking, by the time that decision is made, somebody knows what they're getting into. They've been there first, second, third, fourth, and fifth Sunday, and they know that communion and robes is on first.
Right.
They know youth day is on fifth. They kind of know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's received. At my parents' church, I believe that it's received pretty well. That doesn't seem to be the issue as far as I'm concerned across the board. It's not the hymns and the robes and I think young people today just want to know why. The same reason we see things and we want to know why. We're not going to tell you we're not going to do it and we don't like it.
Right.
But we do need a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can't give me, I know personally, if you can't give me a solid reason why you're doing something and why we should do it, then I'm going to probably be like, yeah, no.
Right. And that makes perfect sense. And you are now married to a pastor. And do you at all feel yourself more following in the footsteps of how you were raised as it relates to relating to the people in the congregation? Or do you feel yourself taking more of your own path while maybe still holding on a bit to, the good old...
That is a good question. I think that I am very well-rounded.
Okay.
I think I've taken, we can't shake Wiley and Ellis.
Girl, no, indeed not.
We can't shake it. So, there's a very big part of who I am. The reason I am who I am is because of my father and the way that I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got married, my husband taught me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have found my own, in between birth and marriage, I found my own path. So
sure.
It's like all three variables kind of come together to form who I am, because my husband actually was raised Seventh-day Adventist.
Right.
So I was raised Pentecostal. He was raised Seventh-day Adventist. And again, some of the traditions that he even taught me, mm-hmm. I had a whole lot of questions in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Why do you do this? Why don't you do this? Yeah. Why? Now I'm gonna join you if you give me a good reason why.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because it's so easy for church people to make everything about salvation.
Right.
And I think that's the turnoff for a lot of us.
Yeah.
We resort to salvation for everything.
Right.
Your clothes too short, you're going to hell. Your lips too red, you're going to hell.
That's that Pentecost. That's that Church of God in Christ, baby. You do one thing, you're going to slip up and lose that good salvation. You hear me?
So don't make it about salvation with me. Make it about lifestyle, mm-hmm. life changes. Obviously salvation is the ultimate conversation, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just, like I said, I didn't have a problem with what he was doing, and I just, like I said, I didn't understand it. So I am always trying not to be the first to make, especially judgmental decisions, because we know how it is for somebody to say something, and be it about us, be it about our mothers, be it about our fathers, something somebody said or something somebody did. And here it is, people taking it all out of context, people, giving their 2 cents 100 different ways. So I'm very careful to, how I approach these subjects, because I always want to be respectful to men of God and women of God but I don't think any of us are above a
play
conversation.
So for altar call, sis.
Wait, what you say, Jess?
I said, yeah, but we're not playing no Cisco for altar call, sis.
No. Now that we won't do. That we won't do. But I think that we, I don't know if we got to understanding it any better, but I think that did lead to a good conversation. Now, this is kind of changing the subject, well, quite a bit. Actually, for those of you who are into the NFL draft and stuff like that, the CeeDee Lamb and Crymson Rose video. CeeDee Lamb is a wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. He played for Oklahoma in college, and he was drafted, and he was a first-round draft pick. And while the draft was going on, he was sitting there. I'm going to try to share the screen one more time and show y'all. But he was sitting there with his girlfriend and his people or whatever. I've admittedly never watched the players watch the draft and stuff. So, you know, people say that it's an order to how things go where people sit. If you're a girlfriend, you don't sit next to him, you sit behind him. If you like mom sit next to him, if you're married, of course you're next to him. So there are all these rules apparently to the draft, but he was on the phone and she took another phone out of his hand and he snatched it back from her. And they did this whole thing talking about the reason why it happened and it wasn't what it looked like. But let me share the screen and try to show y'all this video, and then we're gonna come back and talk about this. Hold on one second. Okay, let's see. Okay, so let's see if we can watch this. I'm gonna refresh and see if I can grab the video. Here it is. Come on, don't do, okay, wait, let's see. Okay. So let me see if I can just find it right quick. It's everywhere, so it should not be an issue at all finding this. And I'm sure many of y'all saw it already. But for those of you who haven't seen it, I just want to show it to you because I don't want to say super strong feelings about it, but they came back and said that it was a reason why it happened like it happened. He was on the phone and she kind of grabbed the phone out of his hand. And this is really going to make us watch. Okay. So the devil is busy with my screen sharing situation on tonight. But long story short, for those of you who have not seen it, he was on the phone. She was sitting right next to him. He had the other phone in his hand. And she took the phone out of his hand and he tried to take it back. And she held on to it just a tiny bit, which caused a little snatching to take place. And the internet, of course, went crazy. The internet went absolutely crazy. And then they came out and said the reason why it happened is because he was on the phone with the Cowboys, right? He was on the phone with the Cowboys and his agent was FaceTiming him. So she picked up the phone and tried to do the girlfriend thing, which, I mean, I don't know what that meant, and pick up the phone, I guess, since he was on the line with the Cowboys. I didn't buy that because when he took the phone back, he immediately like hit the top or something. And then he did something on the phone. It didn't look like he was ending a call, but I don't know what happened there. I don't. It was tough for me because the way the poor thing looked when she turned her face towards like the camera, she looked humiliated. She looked completely humiliated. And if somebody was FaceTiming you, I don't care what was happening. Why did you have to snatch the phone from the girl?
Oh boy.
And we know phones.
I want to see who else saw this video.
If anybody else saw the video, come on and let us know what you thought. And here's the thing, I'll still try to find it, but here's my thing. the way that it happened, I guess I would say the way that it happened, how it looked, the appearance, there is a certain way you treat people, a person, a woman that you love. Now that's and maybe, and I don't want to say the man don't love the woman because that's none of my business. I'm just saying there's a certain way that you treat somebody that you care about. And I know phones, okay? So we know people in phones that can end marriages, that can end relationships, that can end friendships, on and on and on. However, I felt bad for the girl because she looked 100% humiliated.
Yeah, I'm sure she was. I definitely think that there's a respect level that should, especially in public.
Right.
I mean, maybe address it when y'all get back in private, but.
And I'm going to try to find it for you just so you can see it.
Please do.
Because I was just like, I need understanding. I need understanding. And if you would embarrass me, like, don't embarrass me. Don't make me feel small. I think that's a big thing for me.
Right.
You know, that's a big thing for me. Oh, wait, let me see. It's a big thing for me in relationships, specifically. Don't make me feel small. And I think as women, we work hard not to make our men feel small because we know that pride is a thing for men. And fine, I will give you the respect that you deserve. And if I'm upset with you, I will go at your neck in private. Many people don't know this about me. I'm a strong woman with a strong personality. So when people hear me say, I want a man who is able. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying this is something that needs to get out of hand, but I want a man who is able to be like, okay, Alicia, that's enough, if it's necessary.
Right.
You know, because I do have a strong and big personality. So I need a man to kind of balance me, husband, to balance me. But I would never want to feel humiliated or to feel small by something that you chose to do in front of the world. So let me try one more time to share this screen so you can see it. Okay, here we go. He can do that. He's very explosive. He'll take that big hit, hold on to and maybe I was dramatic. And see, she kind of looks like I'm so embarrassed. And maybe I was being dramatic, you know. What do you think?
Hey, wait. Okay, it does look like he took the phone and he turned it off. He hit the side, he turned it off. Clearly it was somebody calling that he didn't want her to see. Because then he turns the phone like away.
Let me turn this off, I'm sorry.
Hold on to the. Because then he turned the phone like kind of away.
Yeah.
She was definitely embarrassed.
Yeah.
But okay. I'm sorry.
Devil's advocate, come on. Come on. I know, come on.
I just want to know why she reached for his phone.
I probably would not have.
I think that's where I would be like, sis, okay, why did you even reach for the phone?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I think every relationship is different.
Mm-hmm.
The understanding between every couple is different. You know, my husband and I can pick up each other's phones. We don't.
Yeah.
We can.
Sure.
It's like it's a weird unspoken thing.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly her and he and his girlfriend don't have that understanding.
Clearly.
There hasn't been a conversation between them, obviously, about don't touch my phone.
Right.
Know? And there are some guys that are just like, do not touch my phone under any circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
There are guys like that.
Yeah. And I guess I'm not used to seeing that kind of interaction between couples. And I know when you're a boyfriend and girlfriend and engaged and married, there are levels to this. And Teresa is on, she said she was wrong for grabbing the phone. And I mean,
there are levels. I mean, the girlfriend, the fiance, the wife, they're all different.
Right. Those are all different places. And here's where I'm on her side, in that he didn't have to do you like that, sis. But I'm on his side and kind of scratching my head at her, because you know better than anybody what kind of relationship you have. Don't make this man embarrass you. Now, I know
it looked like a don't get brand new.
Right. Like, I'm through with you after this, because you know you don't grab my phone. And some people have an understanding. Now, some people, I'm not going to put this on men, but some people will let something go because of cameras and because of an audience. But some people are just not like that. And apparently CeeDee is not like that. He does not care if it's an audience. He does not care if there are cameras. Don't touch my phone. But I think my thing is, don't embarrass her. I just felt bad. I felt embarrassed for her.
Yeah, it was definitely an embarrassing moment now that I've seen it. However, I don't think she should have grabbed his phone.
Yeah.
And I mean, it didn't look like he did it in an aggressive way either.
Right. No, it wasn't like he was about to backhand her like an Ike moment. But he meant he was going to get that phone from her.
He got it back with a quickness, though.
Like, I don't care who, he could have been on the phone with Jesus Christ himself. He was like, wait, hold on, Jesus. I got to get this phone back. And like I said, I'm just used to seeing couples interact, I guess, in a different way. Mm-hmm. So when I see somebody treat somebody a certain way, it makes me think about the quality of the relationship. And it makes me feel like, I mean, I need a man who's going to make me feel like and this is a tricky thing, because like you said, you and your husband can pick up each other's phones, but you don't. It's just something that you all don't do, but it's something that you can do. I would just hope that I would have somebody who would kind of shield me. And I don't know if that's the Christian in me, if that's the Christian woman talking. You know, we expect our men to act a certain way because we follow them as they follow Christ. And they're supposed to cover us, and they're supposed to protect us, and they're not supposed to put us out there and make us to feel unsafe by them, especially in front of people.
Yeah, don't embarrass me.
Just don't.
But I mean, okay, but this video, like, I'm sorry, I don't know. He was on the phone.
Right.
So he was already kind of involved in a conversation.
Right.
I think she embarrassed herself.
You think it was on her? No, I mean, I think people are saying in our comments that Teresa again said that it was disrespectful of her. My sister Tree, she said it's the quality of a relationship, which we were kind of touching on. And then Teresa says again, she doesn't trust him. But do you think
this is the thing? Remember, this whole time we've been talking about context.
Right.
I need context. I can't I could come up with 20 different scenarios about that video.
Sure.
Because I could say she was being disrespectful and rude, and how could she take his phone? But then I could be like, well, no, her facial expressions and body language didn't say that she didn't trust him. It was a friendly, like, oh, let me get that, babe. That's what I got from the video.
Right.
But then his snatchback was like, don't get brand new. We don't do that. I could come up with a whole situation.
Right.
You know, I don't think she should have grabbed his phone, whether she trusts him or not. And again, clearly it's a reflection of the lack of communication between them. There's no clear lines. He did not state to her previously before this public moment.
Right.
His phone was not allowed to be touched.
Right. So, and I feel like she should have known that, because if y'all don't touch phones, y'all don't touch phones. But do you think and this is slightly getting off of the topic. My mother told me a long time ago that her aunt told her before she got married that if you go looking for something, you're going to find it, because you're going to make whatever you find be what you're looking for. Now, back then there were no phones, and phones have added a whole new level of trust issues for relationships. Do you think that you say you and your husband kind of have free, range with each other's phone, but you don't touch each other's phones just because you don't? How do you feel? What part does the phone play? Like, if you see a woman's name come across your husband's phone, how does that make you feel? And with us being church people, it could be sister so-and-so, but allow me to say this before I get to you. Like, I believe men have this little bit of naivete as it relates to women being attracted to them now, or at least they play like they do. Now, men, don't beat me up, but I'll be like, such and such likes you. Him, no, you think? And I'm like, come on, stop playing with me.
I don't think they always see. I do think sometimes they see it, but they ignore it. Okay. But then I do think most times they're not paying attention. Because if they're not on it, then they, you know what I'm saying? You find what you're looking for. If they're not looking for it, then you don't see it. But we see a whole lot.
Yes, we do.
So we know who got a thing for you, but my husband and I, we talk about everything. We communicate like we're really best friends. Before we got married, we literally would talk about everything. We'd be on the phone for hours.
Yeah.
So we talk like besties. And I'll be like, she feeling you, right?
Period.
Jessica, shut up. Like, no, for real. She feeling you. Watch this. And so that's how we talk. So I think there's a level of security that we have to have within ourselves in order to even have those type of conversations.
Right.
Because it's not a matter of if I see a woman calling him, I really don't feel any type of way. I can't say it's always been that way.
Okay.
But I really don't. I'm just like, if it's somebody I don't recognize or a name, then I probably would. This hasn't happened, but I probably would be like, who is that? Or I might not say anything at all because he's probably going to tell me anyway.
Right. And I think sometimes we can be, as women, I think we can be a tad bit insecure about those things. But sometimes what we feel is right and what we feel is valid. But in the way that we decide to handle it, I think makes a world of difference. And accusing, and this is a whole nother conversation and we're wrapping up, but sometimes accusing someone, not just a man, but accusing someone of something can push that person to what you're accusing them of doing, because they feel like, well, if I'm going to get the charge anyway, I might as well be doing what I'm getting the charge for. No, that's not right. No, that mind frame is not right. But who wants to be hounded? Who wants to feel that they're not trusted in a relationship?
But that's why it's important to be confident within yourself and secure within yourself first, and secure within the relationship second.
Sure.
You have to be, because otherwise you will completely sabotage and destroy the relationship.
Yeah. And that's it. And you know what? That's so true, Jess. That's in any relationship, any situation, any circumstance. If we put on a certain set of expectations on other people to make us feel a certain way, like you said, you have to be confident within yourself first. And then you have to be confident and sure in your relationship. Because if we put a certain set of expectations on somebody, if I'm not confident, then I can't expect a man to make me feel that way. If I'm insecure, then he's not going to make me feel secure. If I'm concerned about X, Y, and Z, or whatever the situation is, if my mind is not made up to be a whole person and to bring a whole person into a relationship, then it's a slippery slope.
You gotta be whole first.
and that's it, plain and simple. Let me see if anybody, we're going to wrap up. I know I said it was going to be an hour. We are PK, so we can talk on and on and on. But I do want to acknowledge your comments and everything that you all were putting in. I appreciate everybody watching tonight. The first episode of Churchy Chats with a Church Girl, and my sister, cousin, friend, Jessica Eliis Bulgin. You know, I have to get used to that. You're still Jessica Eliis in my phone. And I feel guilty. I feel guilty. Like when I get a text, I be like, Lord, that girl's name is not Eliis. Well, it is, but it's Eliis Bulgin. So I need to respect that man in my phone.
Some people forget. And they like, what's the new last name?
You know, and we will always be Alicia Wiley, Jessica Eliis, you know, but I never want my husband, he coming, please, Jesus. I never want,
Lord, send him.
See, I need to get my prayer warriors on it. I never want my husband to feel like he's not seen in that way, because I'm so connected to my father's name. So that's a whole nother conversation for another day.
That is a whole nother conversation.
And we will have it. Please, Jessica, tell me you will come back and chat with us on our panel. We have some exciting episodes and some exciting Christian influencers lined up. I wanted to start with somebody that I had some history with, somebody that I know we think alike, but we still have differing opinions on things. So I thought this would be a good way to start off, and I have thoroughly enjoyed this. Yeah, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Now y'all have to be a little patient with me, as in I'm a little new to Zoom. So I'm going to figure this all out, how to end it and everything. Ma, thanks for tuning in. Let me see what you're talking about before we get off. I think the way something sounds depends on the person. In other words, you have to know who the person is you're with. And that's very true. Like, can they be trusted or they cheat? Who they are? Right. You have to know who you are with. Like, you can't get on TV and act like you don't know you can't take that man's phone.
That's what I'm saying.
I just had to throw that shade.
Y'all gotta know before we get out in public who you with.
Right. And we yes, and we have Courtney on. Courtney is gonna be on next week. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'm just super excited about this. And like I said, Jessica will be back. Probably often. So y'all just get used to seeing us. And thank you, Jessica. And thank you for everybody tuning in.
Thank you.
All right, guys. We'll see y'all next week on Churchy Chats with the Church Girl.